Alright, Doston, welcome back to Crypto Brain, and today's discussion may genuinely become one of the most psychologically explosive conversations currently spreading across the crypto market. Because right now a narrative is forming that has started creating both excitement and fear throughout investor communities at the exact same time, and at the center of this rapidly growing speculation is not Bitcoin, not Ethereum, and not even Dogecoin, but a project many people were still calling just another meme. Only a short time ago, and that project is Toshi. Normally crypto rumors appear every single day and most disappear within hours. However, every once in a while a specific narrative spreads with such unusual speed that experienced traders immediately stop and pay attention, because throughout crypto history the biggest market explosions almost always began with whispers before they became headlines. And this time the whisper, currently spreading through Telegram whale tracking communities and underground investor forums, is directly connected to one of the most respected minds in blockchain history, Vitalik Buterin, according to viral discussions now circulating online. Vitalik Buterin allegedly invested $50,000 into Toshi, while a statement attached to the rumor has completely shocked the market because the phrase is spreading across social media claims, "This could outgrow my Ethereum holdings." Now officially, there is absolutely no confirmed proof that Vitalik himself made this statement. However, crypto markets do not move purely on confirmation, they move on psychology, speculation, emotion, and future possibility, and experienced traders understand something very important. Once a narrative emotionally captures the imagination of investors, liquidity begins moving long before facts are verified, and right now that appears to be exactly what is happening around Toshi, because attention, social engagement, and market curiosity are all accelerating at the same time. Now let's step back for a moment and understand why this rumor has become so powerful. Because Vitalik Buterin is not simply another wealthy investor who is viewed by millions as son of the architects of the modern crypto economy. This is the same individual who helped create Ethereum, the blockchain ecosystem that transformed decentralized finance, NFTs, smart contracts, and the entire structure of Web3 itself. So naturally, whenever Vitalik's name becomes associated with any emerging project, investors immediately assume there must be deeper reason behind it, and perhaps that is why Toshi has suddenly become one of the most aggressively discussed projects throughout the base ecosystem. Now another critical factor making this narrative dangerous is timing, because the broader crypto market appears to be slowly transitioning back into a risk-on environment. Bitcoin has stabilized, Ethereum liquidity is improving, and meme coin activity is beginning to dominate internet conversations once again. And historically, whenever those conditions are lean, smaller narrative drive, and assets tend to move far more aggressively than large-cap cryptocurrencies, because speculative capital naturally searches for higher volatility opportunities, and meme assets remain some of the emotionally reactive sectors in the entire market. Now this brings us to another major reason traders are paying attention: the rapid expansion of the base ecosystem, because according to several analysts, Toshi's strongest advantage may not simply be meme culture alone, but its positioning inside one of the fastest growing blockchain environments, currently attracting attention from developers, creators, and retail communities, and investors who closely follow already understand something important. Whenever a blockchain ecosystem begins accelerating, projects emotionally connected to that ecosystem often experience explosive momentum alongside it, and throughout crypto history, ecosystem narratives have repeatedly created enormous wealth, because once liquidity starts entering an ecosystem, the projects capturing social attention inside that ecosystem often become the biggest buzz. In a snow, perhaps the most psychologically fascinating aspect of this entire situation is the comparison many investors have started making between Toshi and the early stages of Dogecoin, because people often forget that Dogecoin itself was once dismissed as nothing more than an internet joke before eventually becoming one of the most recognizable digital assets on Earth, largely due to internet culture, celebrity influence, and emotional community momentum. And according to some traders, Toshi may now be entering a surprisingly similar behavioral phase, because successful meme assets rarely grow through utility alone. They grow through identity, online participation, emotional attachment, and narrative power, and when those elements begin aligning together, markets can become extraordinarily irrational very quickly. Now another factor adding fuel to this speculation is the increasing whale activity reportedly observed across blockchain tracking systems, because according to several on-chain analysts, larger wallets have recently been accumulating, Toshi positions quietly while mainstream. Retail awareness still remains relatively early, and this has triggered another theory rapidly spreading throughout the crypto community. What if smart money has already started positioning itself before broader public attention fully arrives? Because historically, whales rarely chase hype publicly. Instead, they accumulated during periods where uncertainty still exists. And by the time mainstream investors fully recognize the narrative, a significant portion of the move has often already occurred. Now, naturally, it is extremely important to remain analytical because note-free rumor becomes reality and note-free meme narrative evolves into long-term success. However, experienced traders also understand that completely ignoring developing narratives can become equally dangerous because crypto markets are driven by perception, emotion, and liquidity psychology, and right now all three appear to be strengthening around. Tosh is simultaneously now another major reason the market is becoming increasingly emotional is because internet culture itself has evolved dramatically over the last decade. Day-to-day attention has become one of the most valuable assets in existence, and meme projects capable of dominating attention cycles can generate extraordinary levels of liquidity very quickly, especially when online communities aggressively amplify the narrative, and currently Toshi supporters appear to be doing exactly that because across X, Reddit, Telegram, and crypto discussion platforms, the project's visibility has increased substantially. Memes are spreading, theories are multiplying, influencers are discussing possibilities and speculate. Iron is accelerating almost non-stop, and once social momentum reaches a certain level, price action of 10 begins reacting more top psychology than logic. Now, perhaps the most dangerous lament of all, this is the fear of missing out, because crypto investors have already witnessed multiple situations where projects initially dismissed as ridiculous eventually exploded into billion-dollar ecosystems. Bitcoin was mocked, Ethereum was doubted, Dogecoin was laughed at, and yet all three created life-changing wealth for early believers. And because of that, Tory money investors now fear ignoring Toshi too early in case it eventually becomes another major internet-driven success story. And that fear itself can become fuel because once enough people begin thinking, what if this becomes the next big thing? Buying pressure can accelerate aggressively, regardless of whether fundamentals fully justify the movement. Now, another fascinating aspect of this discussion is the idea that future crypto dominance may increasingly depend less on pure technology and more on cultural relevance, community engagement, and internet identity, because according to several digital economy analysts, the next major bull cycle may not be led purely by technical superiority, but by projects capable of controlling online attention and emotional participation. And if that theory proves correct, then meme ecosystems with strong branding, active communities, and viral narrative power could potentially outperform expectations dramatically. And perhaps that is exactly why Toshi is now attracting so much attention from speculative investors searching for early-stage momentum and opportunities. Now, of course, there is a darker side to all this, because meme markets remain extremely volatile, and history repeatedly shows that emotional investing can become very dangerous, especially when hype begins overpowering discipline. Because whales understand psychology extremely well. They know retail traders chase excitement, they know social media amplify it, and they know narratives create emotional urgency. And because of that, professional traders focus heavily on timing, liquidity management, and risk control, rather than blind optimism, because while meme cycles can create overnight millionaires, they can also destroy portfolios just as quickly. And that is precisely why experienced investors study market psychology before making major decisions. Now, ultimately do. Today's discussion was never simply about one rumor or one viral tweet. It was about understanding how modern crypto narratives are born, because markets no longer move through technology alone. They move through stories, emotion, communities, internet culture, and collective belief. And right now, whether people admit it publicly or not, Toshi is beginning to enter that narrative machine more aggressively than ever before. So the real question moving forward becomes this: are we witnessing the very early stages of another major internet-driven crypto phenomenon, or are we simply watching another temporary wave of speculation? Honestly, nobody can answer that question with certainty. Yet, however, one thing remains undeniable: attention is increasing, community momentum is expanding, whale interest appears to be growing, and speculative curiosity is accelerating rapidly. And in crypto markets, curiosity is often the first stage before major liquidity movement begins, which is why smart investors always watch behavior before they watch headlines, because by the time the entire world finally understands the narrative, the biggest opportunities are usually already gone. So, or now watch the liquidity, watch the wallet activity, and most importantly, watch where smart money quietly positions itself before the crowd even realizes what is happening.